Assalamualaikum everyone, it's Bidul Mirza and you are tuning into our Mental Health Summit series जो कि आज के दिन ही alone हमारे 4 parts हो चुके हैं इस चीज़ के and we did a session with Zainab as well last weekend. So today we are welcoming with us Fawzia. Fawzia is, well, she's a special needs advocate as well as one of the moderators of the special needs community. बहुत बड़ी कम्युनिटी है पाकिस्तान में जो कि फेसबुक के ऊपर मैनेज करती हैं फौजिया फाउंडर उसकी राबिया है जिनको आपने अभी 2 सेशंस पहले सुना है सो यू नो फौजिया के बारे में मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी अगेन आई हैव बीन वेरी लकी इन माय जर्नी कि मैंने ऐसे लोगों से कनेक्ट किया है दैट एडेड वैल्यू टू मी एंड फौजिया इज वन ऑफ देम फौजिया से मेरी बहुत ज़्यादा बातचीत नहीं हुई but anytime we've spoken I've learned so much from her and she's such a big supporter of what I believe in or is qisam ki connection woman to woman empowering other people in the community. It's just amazing. Thank you so much Fawzia for joining us today.
Thank you for having me and thank you for putting all this together. It's such a huge resource.
It is, and you guys are going to add so much value to our chat today. आज का टॉपिक मैंने और फौजिया ने इसलिए सिलेक्ट किया because this is something जिसके ऊपर मैं और फौजिया आई थिंक दोनों ही काफी frequently बात करते हैं कि and we've experienced it ourselves as moms to autistic children. फौजिया अपने बारे में थोड़ा सा और हमको बताएंगी ताकि हम और learn कर सकें. फौजिया, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm here as a mother of an autistic teenager. I have 3 kids. My youngest is on the spectrum, and he is my powerhouse, the person I draw this energy from. He was diagnosed about 3 years or so after he was born, so 2008. And when you're on a path and like Rabia said earlier, you're in this rat race, you have this vision of your life and you're doing this and that, and suddenly everything comes to a stop and you have to take a step back and say, what do I do now? So as a mother, I'm going to tell you that all my dreams came crashing down around me. It was one of the most difficult times of my life because I did not know what was happening. You're prepared. आपको बचपन से कहा गया पढ़ो पढ़ो पढ़ो, यूनिवर्सिटी फिनिश हो जाएगी, जॉब मिलेगी, फिर शादी हो जाएगी, बच्चे होंगे. You're on this path. Everybody says this is it. Nobody prepares you for this hurdle or this bump. But alhamdulillah, I mean, we really need to take a step back and breathe and realize that this bump is actually a blessing. This bump is made to stop us in our tracks and help us think, where are we going? What is our life achievement going to be? At the end of all of this, it's not going to be कि हमने CEO बन गए या हमने कोई कंपनी खड़ी कर दी. It's going to be that we made a difference in this child's life, and through this child, I don't know how many lives we're going to touch for the better, inshallah.
Inshallah. And I'm going to add your slides in just a second. एक चीज जो मुझे कहनी थी वो ये, it has taken me a long time, and I'm Fawzia, you can speak to that as well, to understand कि जो हमारे साथ हुआ है, this is not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's another curve in life. ये जिंदगी है. जिंदगी के अंदर चीजें आती हैं, चली जाती हैं, challenges आते हैं, but that, like my father says, adds the spice to the life. So the ability to see, to not look at things as an obstacle, but look at them as a way forward. ये चीज ना बहुत एक complete mind shift है. And we're going to talk about the positive mindset with Fawzia today. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. I'm going to go next.
You're so true. It's so true. This is not a tragedy. Like when we start out life, nobody tells us, nobody sits us down and says, life is not about being happy. Life is about being tested. And this is where we draw from our faith, whatever faith you come from. This is where our faith challenges us. When these kind of things happen, when we are tested, where do we sit down and say, what am I going to do? No, this is a huge tragedy in my life. I cannot go out and have fun at dinner parties or go to concerts. That is not the point. The point is, how fulfilling is your life going to be from this little bump in the road? It's about your perspective, and how you change your perspective is where all that strength will come from, inshallah.
Inshallah. You're absolutely right. And I think seeing someone like yourself and Rabia and other speakers actually role model that for some of our families and some of our mothers in our community who are battling with hopelessness and helplessness and, a sense of martyrdom. I think we need to see more of this empowered woman, this positive mindset. Um, हमारे कल्चर में इसकी रोल मॉडलिंग बड़ी कम है. हम ऐसे हैं कि हम ये सोचते हैं जो चीज़ हमें नज़र नहीं आती वो एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती. तो वी डोंट रियली कम फ्रॉम बैकग्राउंड जिधर हमारी मदर्स बड़ी पॉजिटिव हैं या हमारे सिबलिंग्स बड़े पॉजिटिव हैं. Everyone gets anxious about their challenges, which is also perfectly normal. But to be able to overcome them, what to do with it, I think that's what I'm hoping that we can showcase today with the summit. Go ahead.
I hope so. I'm gonna talk a little more about my journey, because now go back. Yeah, here I when Taha was diagnosed, I was 36. No, I was about 38, 39 years old, and you know the medical model, which tells us that if you have children later in life, तो ये सारी चीजें आपके साथ हो सकती हैं. Um, it took me a very long time to understand that it was not my fault, that I was not to blame. That, I mean, I'm saying this because I have a bachelor's in computer science, I have a master's in computer science, I come from a fairly educated family, my parents are doctors. And I have a support. My husband is very supportive, my in-laws are very supportive, alhamdulillah. Nobody pointed fingers at me. Despite this fact, I blamed myself. I thought, was I too old? Did I take too many antibiotics? Did I fall down? Was there something wrong with me? I mean, a fairly intelligent person who's gone through formal education, if they can think like this, I really wonder. We need to provide so much more support to all the mums out there, new mums especially, or mums to be, and help them along the way. This is never going to be your fault. This is not a punishment. This is a bump in the road to remind you that rat race is not where you're supposed to be. Your journey is the road less traveled. I love Robert Frost's poem, and I keep on quoting it because that is a physical thing for me. The road less traveled. You're going through a forest and you have a trail, and everybody's gone through that, and you pick the one that nobody has traveled on before, and you make your own path and blaze it for everybody who's coming behind you as well. So remember this. This is not punishment. This is not a tragedy. This is a pause in your life for you to realize that you will find happiness. And this journey with your child is going to be full of blessings. But you have to look for those blessings, and you have to be happy about spending this time with your child and or children. All of them, actually, neurotypical ones as well.
Obviously, yes, for sure. Amazing points. You're so right on that. इसमें मैं ये चीज जरूर ऐड करूंगी कि you're absolutely right. The community that we come from, yes, I mean, I myself have done actually bachelor's in computer science as well, so we have that in common. But no matter what the education, right? Because we have families in our community, they're not so blessed with so much awareness. But the common theme is still we all naturally go through a sense of grief. We can naturally
Yeah.
go through a sense of denial, and then some stay there and some move forward, right? So इस चीज के ऊपर judgment नहीं है कि you're feeling or experiencing low mood. That's fine. That's normal.
No.
You're going through natural feelings. Moving forward is also natural. And that's the place where I feel parents, or especially moms from our community, they get stuck where they don't move forward, and they keep going round and round. So you guys are lighting the path up for us. It's called walking the line. We're following your lead right behind you guys.
So yeah,
You want me to go
the
ahead?
next slide is where, yeah, go ahead. So next slide is where I saw myself, and I'm so sure so many moms are going to be able to, um, relate to this particular slide, because despite the fact that nobody's pointing fingers, हमें ज़रूर लगता है कि these invisible fingers are being pointed at us because we gave birth. We suddenly forget that we were a vessel. It wasn't us. We didn't make these choices. They did happen to us, and now we're going to have to deal with them. And how we deal with them is where hamara sabr is tested, our faith is tested, and how we go through them is where we are being tested. And I'm going to draw a little bit from my faith because it's been that pillar for me. I've always believed, and it's brought me closer to Allah, that Allah will not test you with any burden that you cannot face. It's in the Quran, okay? And I firmly believe in this. Okay, if we are being tested, it is because we can hold this burden. If you believe in that, that's your first step forward. And like you said, there's a grief cycle. You have to accept this. TK, I'm unhappy. It's okay to be unhappy. I don't want this to be part of my life. It's okay. But after a while, there's nothing that you can do but to accept. You're going to have to move forward. And if you stay there, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for your family, your spouse, your child. So there's no other way. That's what my thinking was. How long am I going to pity myself? How long am I going to stay here? I have to do something. And I think it's human trait. Up,
Yeah.
you have to go through the grief. You have to accept it. Anger was there. I think I lashed out at my elder sister when she was trying to help me. I lashed out at a few other people, and I'm sorry for that. But after all of that, you have to come to a point where you say, okay, now what do I do now? And it can take you months, it can take you weeks. Every person is going to be different, and every person will draw from some place that strength. That can be from your own family, from your faith, from your siblings. And you and Zainab were talking about having somebody to talk to. I want to point out here, okay, with me, I have multiple people I can talk to. I don't have this one person. I don't know how I did this, but I now advocate that you should have multiple people you can go to. I go to my sisters for something, I go to my husband for something else, and I go to my mother for something else. Allah miyan उन सबको अपने हिफ्ज़ मान में रखे. And sometimes I need to talk to my tribe, the people that I depend on, who will be non-judgmental, who will give me a safe place to talk. And this tribe is that group of women or men or aunties, anybody you can find actually, who will not sympathize, but who will understand and who will be non-judgmental, and essentially
Non-judgmental.
just give you a place where you can vent and then move forward, because sometimes venting is a part of the process. You have to say, why me? So let's move on to the other slide. So these are all valid emotions, going through this shame. What is it that I did wrong? And my blame and my guilt that I took the antibiotics, I was unwell. Okay, and that affected my child. The regret that, could I have done something differently? The anger of, why is it me? Everybody around me has neurotypical children. Why me? I've already had a difficult life. Why me?
Yeah.
And this feeling of unworthiness, and feeling that you're weak and you deserve this because you're weak, that you've done something wrong. All of these are valid emotions, but all of these come from that part of our brain that doesn't think. And that's why we need to tap into our reasoning processes. And it's okay to feel all of these as well. But I just want you and everybody who's listening to know, let's move to the other slide, that they don't define you, that none of these define you. You are a person who is good enough, who is enough actually, and who is worthy, and whom you should first love and accept. It took me a very long time to accept the person I am today. And it took a number of people to validate me. They didn't know they were doing it. And shout out to that circle tribe who does it every single time. But you need to find those people who will say it's okay. I was telling my husband I'm going on this. I wanted to go on this mindfulness retreat, and every time I bring it up, my husband says, "Yeah, go." And I was telling him, "I'm 50 years old." Yes, I am 50 years old. I'm 50
Mashallah.
years old, and I'm still learning. And I was getting angry at myself. Why couldn't I have had this exposure when I was in my 20s or in my 30s? But then I said, it's okay. I'm learning. I'm still learning. And even if I've made a few mistakes, I'm going to forgive myself. I made a few mistakes with my eldest son. I made some more with my daughter. But, and I'm not going to say I didn't make any with Taha. I made a huge amount of mistakes with him as well. A lot
It's
of
part of
them.
parenting. We will make those mistakes.
I know I'm not perfect, but I am good enough. I am trying my best, and my best is good enough. So none of these, the shame, the blame, the regrets, the anger, none of them define me. And these are things that does not define any one of us. We're all going to go through it. Accept it about you and yourself and the process.
I love how much self acceptance you're talking about. I feel like one of my biggest flaws are that I expect so much from myself, and then I get mad at myself for not being able to meet my own expectation. And
Yeah,
that's the pressure
you're
I
our
put on
worst
myself.
critic.
Worst critics. So I love that you're saying, you're bringing light to and awareness to the fact that I need to accept myself first. This has to happen from within. Amazing.
It's really hard though. It seems
It's
like
not
it's going to be
easy.
an no, because like you just said, I've gone through the same things and I still go through them. This is not something I'm immune to even now. I will sit back and I will look at where my child is and I will think, oh, my elder son was at this level and now Taha is not. And then I have to physically, you know what do you say, Janjord myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, don't do this. That child was different. He is on a different path. This child is different. And you are going to have to accept whatever pace they are developing at. But at the same time, when you accept that, you also embrace that this child is going to be on another journey. And, this all encompassing feeling of peace that he's on another journey, and whatever end that journey has, it'll be fine. When we have these really set notions कि नहीं हमें स्कूल में भेजना है, स्कूल से वो निकलेगा तो वो ये पेपर्स पास करेगा, वहां से निकलेगा यूनिवर्सिटी जाएगा, यूनिवर्सिटी से निकलेगा शादी होगी, जॉब मिलेगी, those are okay, yeah, frameworks, but you don't have to be a slave for those frameworks. You can step out and say, no, I'm going to do a little differently this time. And my eldest is very different from my second, who is very different from my third. And I'm very different from all three of them.
Yeah.
And that's the level of uniqueness that we bring to the table. And
That's the
that's
beauty
what
of it.
and that's the fun part of it. That's the beauty of it. And when we say and when we compare and when we say no, this should have been like this, we don't take that moment to appreciate that beauty. और हमें ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम उसको appreciate करें, and at the same time be thankful for those things that we do have. We have a child. He has all 10 toes and 10 fingers. He has a mouth. He has a nose to breathe from. Let's move on from there. Let's see what else we can do and what we can contribute to his life. So this thing I put up because it really resonated with me. There's a lot of stuff happening around you, and that finger pointing, it was virtual. Nobody ever did that. Nobody said it was your fault, but I did it to myself, and it was probably the worst place to be in, despite the fact that I was doing it. I should have understood that, and I think a lot of us go through this grief of of allowing those feelings to drown us. And what we need to do is be like ships, have everything around us, still float, still have fun. Don't let that water in, don't let them drown you. Okay, so here we're going to move into the positive mindset. Uh, Focus on the things you can control. I can control how I respond to a situation. And I've read this, and one of the biggest things I had to get over in myself was my anger. I had to. I was very quick to get angry. I had to for and we understand sensory stimuli, and we understand sensorial challenges. So I think this is a sensorial challenge for me. I was very quickly stimulated, and I would jump to a mindset, and that mindset for me was anger. And I would always, not always, now I don't, but I would get to a point where with my younger son I would say, why aren't you learning this? And that anxiety, that build up, that anger would turn into something horrendous, and I had to fix that. And a lot of the times I think back and I think that was why I had this challenge, this bump in the road. I needed to fix this thing about myself, and I needed to accept that I was not on the right path. So focus on things that you can control, not things that you can't. Things that you can control, let's move to the next slide. How you respond to situations, what you say to other people, how you think of situations. There are so many times when I will jump to the worst thing possible. But so many times I've realized people can be mean, but they can be so kind. एक ठेला वाला था. Taha was sitting with me. I was trying to get Taha to understand how to buy things. He was much younger than he is right now. This is about 10 years ago. And मैंने ताहा से कहा कि उससे केले ले लो 1 दर्जन, उसको कहो and उसको पैसे दे दो. And Taha was in his vocal stimming mode. अब मैंने सोचा कि मैं इसको कहूँ कि चुप हो जाओ. But I didn't. That thought did go through my mind. And the ठेला वाला came over. उसने ताहा की बात सुनी सारी, जितना भी वो बोल रहा था. And हमारे बच्चे vocal stimming is endless. और उसने फिर ताहा को केले दिए, उससे पैसे लिए. And then he looked at me and he asked me, ये इसको कुछ है जहन में? And मैंने उससे कहा हाँ. I didn't need to explain autism to him, but this kindness that was dripping, that was coming out through his words, through his eyes and actions, it was so heartwarming. इतना मेरा दिल जो है बाम लग गया जैसे मेरे दिल पे. अदरवाइज मैं थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाती थी और मेरी आंखों में आंसू होते थे कि ये अभी तक क्यों नहीं सीख पा रहा, कितने और थेरेपी सेशंस मुझे करने हैं. Because we're all struggling financially, we're all struggling with time, we're struggling with familial obligations and spouse and all of those things. And everybody does. It's not just me or you. Every single one of us does. And juggling those balls बहुत मुश्किल होता है. और वो छोटी सी kindness where he looked at Taha, smiled at him, was kind. It lasted me for days, for years, I guess, because I'm still talking about it. So how you respond, what you say, what you believe in, all of those things you can control. What you can't control is how people talk to you, what they think of you. So let those things go. Focus on the things that you can control.
And
Okay, let's move to the next book.
I actually went through something like this, right? Like I when there are people who doubt you and they're very vocal about that, for me it was a point of self-awareness. I'm like, okay, am I going to believe this, or am I going to believe what I know about myself? And then taking all that negative talk, toxic talk, and putting it aside, because I know myself better. And it's like you said, those are the things that I can't control, so then why worry about them? Great point.
When you brought this up, one thing that popped into my mind is when we take our children to school and to therapy. A lot of the times we question ourselves. We believe कि जो डॉक्टर है उसको ज़्यादा पता है, या जो टीचर है उसको ज़्यादा पता है, या स्कूल को ज़्यादा पता है. For some reason we feel somebody else has the answer or the solution. Fortunately, we have all the answers. As mothers, मुझे लगता है कि हम अपने आप को बहुत सेकंड गेस करते हैं, और क्योंकि हमें पता नहीं होता, हमने रिसर्च नहीं की हुई होती, हमारे पास वो लोग नहीं होते जो हमें वैलिडेट कर दें, वो कहें कि जो तुम सोच रही हो वो बिल्कुल ठीक है। हम हमें अपने ऊपर ज़्यादा भरोसा होना चाहिए. We have to be more dependent on ourselves and more confident about how we feel and what we understand. There's nobody else in this world who knows your child better than you do. So if your child, and my child was non-verbal till the age of 10, he did not speak clearly till he was 10 years old. We were trying to get a resource teacher in school for him, and my child was reacting just by looking at the resource teacher. My husband is far more emotionally stronger than I am. He said, he's reacting, I'm going to go with what Taha is doing. We don't need to hear it from him. And he my husband was, listen, we're not getting this resource teacher. I kept on doubting myself for the longest time. And I think as moms, we need to tell each other, you're strong, you can do this, you have that force, tap into it, be the strength that your child needs, because you cannot be his advocate if you don't believe in yourself, and you know him better than anybody else in the world. So be his advocate. And it's okay to be wrong as well, okay? That's all right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. We move
You
on.
raised so many good points, Fawzia. I mean, the self doubt is real. I hear that from, parents who I feel know more than me. And there's that moment. In that moment, there's that self doubt. And, we can't always be there for ourselves. I mean, we should be in an ideal world. But wouldn't it be better if we had more people around us who are more aware to help each other? And I think that is, for me, the purpose of the Mental Health Summit, to bring not just awareness, because what to textbook se bhi mil sakti hai, but for us to talk about these things, ki what is needed in this community, what's missing. And I feel that's what's missing.
But you know, Batul, we've been so lucky in the past 10 years. Awareness, empathy, support groups, which we didn't have
We didn't have.
10, 12 years ago, they have popped up, and so many people have so much support. New
Mhm.
moms, WhatsApp groups, Facebook,
Yeah.
especially as Pakistan popped up like a few years ago. I mean, I can still remember when there was nothing, and then there was Rabia, and she
Yeah.
brought so many people together, so many therapists, so many moms who could support each other and ask questions. And we didn't have that before. We had Facebook, but we didn't have those.
I didn't find those things until much later in my life. I think one of my support groups that I started was just in 2019. I was that late to the
Wow.
party. But I understood there is a need for it. Nay, I'm way behind. And even in Canada, like you'll find not just Canada, US, whatever, you won't find so many support systems. You'll find these awareness groups, right? And you'll have like the book clubs and the activity hobby partners and all of that. But it's also about how safe you feel with someone. And like you said, sometimes you can get that from a stranger, and that the kindness of the stranger is the best. I know we're going over just a little bit, but I wanted to share this other thing. Actually, one of the whole reasons why I started this support community was because jab Ayan ka diagnosis hua tha and I was sitting in the therapy center. I remember udhar baithne nahi dete the because it was like small area and then kids will get distracted. So मैं छोड़ के कहीं चली जाती थी. But I wanted to be in the near vicinity because, just in case he needs me, I didn't want to venture too far away. और मैं एक McDonald's में बैठी हुई थी. And there was this other autism mom as well who was sitting there with me and we were having a chat. But at point to where I broke down and I cried because I felt safe enough to do that with her. जबकि मैं अपनी family के साथ I'm very composed and I've got this and that attitude, but that empathy that I felt from her, saying she gets me, and I was able to come clean in that moment. And then she told me her story. Okay, she has to like change through two subways and two buses to get to this therapy center because this therapist is the one that helps her child. And I was in awe of that struggle with the grace and the dignity. It's so important to be able to see that and learn from it. It was inspirational for me. And if I knew about Rabia, I think I would have been on Facebook a lot earlier.
So this is where I would sum the whole thing up. For me, filling your cup every day. every single day, do something for yourself. It is incredibly important that you recognize yourself as worthy, that you are somebody to spend time with. And if you don't do it, how can you expect somebody else to do it? You love yourself. I would put up post-its on my mirror, in the bathroom, places I would walk to in the kitchen, because I wanted to remind myself that I was worthy, that I was worthy of love and attention, and that I needed to really fill that cup. Because if you don't, then where are you going to give your child from? When you're spread thin, when you're angry, when you feel resentment, the child who cannot talk, that's where you take everything out on. So love yourself, because you are all you have. Look at strengths rather than deficits. It took me a very long time to understand this statement. When we go to a doctor, the medical model is to look at deficits. That's how it's made. But as moms and as support givers, caregivers, we need to look at strengths. It took me a very long time to see where Taha was coming from, and looking looking at progress rather than perfection. If he's in class 4 and if he's still writing, which is where Taha was, because his fine motor skills were delayed, he was writing 2, 3 inch big letters. It's okay, because he was still making progress. And giving back, really important, because when you're at the end of getting something, then you know how important it is for somebody else to get that same love and attention. So either give back, pay it forward, do it however you want to, do it as little as you can afford to. But I don't mean by money, I even mean just the support and the smile and the understanding, creating safe places for people to vent and talk, and having no judgment, because we know where we've come from, what journey we had to what road we had to travel, and our journey is still ongoing. It hasn't finished. And then lastly, count your blessings every single day. And journaling really helps. Nober talked about this. uh, I would write down what Taha had done in a specific month, because it was monthly, it wasn't weekly. Things weren't coming out that quickly. Sometimes they do, and they are very blessed to have those kind of moments. But journal it. When something happens, then write it down, because when you're in that dark place where you can't see progress, when you need to have that strength, draw from that. That journal is going to be your pal. So I would say, please count your blessings, because you have to remember, nobody should ever burden you with a burden that you cannot bear. So you foremost know that you can bear this burden. You will come out stronger. You will be closer to Alamia. And count your blessings, and Allah will, Alamia promises us to give us more of what we don't know, but more of everything good.
Absolutely. This is beautiful, beautiful words. Thank you so much. It's a message of courage because it takes courage, to actually look after yourself, understand that today I'm not okay. I'm okay with that. Tomorrow is another day, and starting over, pressing that reset button every day for yourself so that you can be there for your child and for your family and for yourself. These are amazing insights that you've shared today. जैसे कहते हैं ना वो पूरी जिंदगी के जो wisdom के lessons हैं. I don't have the perfect Urdu words in here. वो आपने पूरा हमको बताया condense करके. It's amazing. Let's
Thank you
go
so
to
much
the
for
next
having
slide.
us. Well,
No,
that's it.
absolutely. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Fawzia. The whole purpose of this mental health summit is for us to see people like you. I mean, we hear from you guys, we follow you guys. लेकिन एक अलग ही मजा है कि आपको बुला के बिठा के बात करना सुनना. I'm looking at you, I'm listening to you, I'm absorbing all this information, and I will remember it. So ये चीज जो दिया है ना, it's a gift that you guys have given us today. So I should be
And
thanking you all.
oh no, I want to say that we're all here. For all the mums who are listening and who will listen, we're here. ask, reach out. I think Rabia also said the same thing, and we believe in this really very strongly. Reach out. We're here to help. We're here to give you as much as we can of ourselves. We've been on this road. It's not easy. We all know this, but with support and with the love that we all share, and with the grief that we all share of not having that perfect life that we thought we could have, we will all be able to provide support to each other. So thank you so much, Batul, for putting all of this together, for having so many amazing people to help so many of us.
Thank you so much, Fawzia. And thank you everyone for watching us. If you guys have any questions or need more support, put your hand up. We're all here for you. And with that, we are finishing the day 2 of our summit series, and tomorrow will be the last day. Thanks, Fawzia. Thank you so much once again. Take care, everyone. Allah Hafiz.